catalyst, which is the most, confidential or most, product we need to work on it. But still, we need to get the experience of manufacturing that catalyst in other industrial, which is not part of our core business as a shell. So yeah, there is some challenge there, but still, you end, as Dr. Naya mentioned, that you need to deal, you need to collaborate. You cannot work in silo.
Let's bring up one of our survey questions and invite everybody to take their clickers, and if we could have clickers for the panel. Everybody has already. Okay. And again, if anybody would like to join the conversation, just put up your hands, and there are microphones wandering around. So we have survey questions coming up. While we wait, I'd like to just maybe bring in Jennifer on the initiative that has come out of Texas with the Pumps and Pipes project. For those that are not familiar with it, could you maybe just introduce it as an example of crossover technology?
Sure. So Pumps and Pipes was started in 2007, and it actually was initiated from a very informal conversation held on a plane between one of our ExxonMobil drilling specialists and a surgeon from Methodist in Houston. And they started discussing just kind of their jobs, you know, sitting in business class, hanging out on a 16-hour flight, and they started realizing that there's a lot of crossover between the medical community and the oil and gas. At the end of the day, it's all about flow assurance, right? It's blood flowing through the veins of people and understanding how that works. And for the oil and gas industry, it's how it goes through pipelines and preventing clots and blockages, et cetera. So out of this kind of informal conversation, an initiative was started that has continued on an annual basis to bring the medical community together with the research community within the oil and gas industry to understand where technologies can actually cross over between the two. And so there's been a couple of, it's basically resulted in a number of technologies that have been patented and that are used, ranging from gravel packers all the way through clotting and prevention mechanisms. So it's really just a really good example of how this kind of conversation, once it's initiated, you can find these crossovers and actually result in usable and commercialized products.
And it's interesting in a way that this serendipity of these two executives, a surgeon and a driller, ended up sitting next to each other on an airplane, and hence this conversation, and then the start of an organization that has led to a number of patents and the crossover technologies deployed in medical as well as in the oil and gas industry. But what's interesting is that it only happened in 2007. Even though in Houston the industry is there for 100 years, the medical industry there is very mature, with a long established tradition and reputation as world's finest, but yet these two men had to be by accident meeting on a plane, and from that serendipity moment came this outcome. And the question I'd ask to yourself, Dr. Derham, is we don't need to wait for that serendipity moment, right? We're creating an ecosystem here from its foundation that we can put in place formats for those crossover moments to take place. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are of creating those kind of platforms. If we look to the next 5 years of this journey, we talked this morning about the last 5 years. We built the infrastructure, we built the research labs and so on. But what's the next phase that needs to happen that we can design? We don't need to wait for 100 years.
Well, one of the challenges that we are facing here, for example, at Qatar University, is that people used to do or conduct the research for either promotional purpose or for other personal reasons. So it was a bottom-up approach. Now, for the leadership of the university, decided to, let us tackle the national research priorities, and we have to go into a top-down approach, okay? So it is a challenge that we are facing, how to bring people together in interdisciplinary manner working on these challenges and priorities for us. So it is not only across departments within a college, no, it is across colleges and between colleges and centers, and between also different...
How active is that currently, like the crossover departments? Is there...
We will just start now. We are in the start of implementing this roadmap, what we call it a research roadmap for Qatar University.
Okay.
And we are facing some challenges, to bring people from, let's say, social sciences together with people from businesses and engineering or biomedical and law or whatever, okay, to address some specific, national priority that we think that it is a must, so that we can have this horizontal communication between departments, between students, between... The other thing is we need also to probably replan our curricula in a way that our students as well are willing to have more or a wider foundation between science, basic science, applied science, and social studies and humanities. This wider foundation also will put our graduate in a better position to seize an opportunity or to understand that there is an opportunity from another field other than mine, so I can communicate and I can seize this opportunity and implement it into my area or into my discipline. So this is another challenge that we are facing at Qatar University.
Well, that's quite an exciting development to bring all of those different departments together around those challenges. Let's go to the survey question and just give do you agree that it is time for major IOCs and NOCs to shift part of their operations to Silicon Valley and other creative hubs to tap into the best engineering talent pools to build up a true 21st century workforce? I mean, there's the example of Tesla cars, who you probably are all familiar with, who decided he wasn't going to try and bring the engineering talent to come to Detroit. He decided he's going to bring Tesla cars to Silicon Valley, where the talent is. So please, answers on this, 10 seconds. There was something that was discussed at CIRA Week this year, the idea of connecting between Houston and Silicon Valley. So it's quite a big number, a 60% majority sees the value in that idea. Dr. Youssif, one of the things that we have talked about before was that in order to attract young talent to the sciences, to the research environment, you've got to change the environment so it appears more like a startup research culture that younger millennials are more familiar with these days and more appetite for.
Actually, I would no, or be trying just to...
You don't like San Francisco?
No, but trying to do the right step before we go for shifting, which is we are not totally against that one, but at least there is one step. If we say Qatar passed the phase of constructing the right facility and infrastructure for doing R&D, I think now the time is to do more and more dialogues around R&D topics. So we are not very open about what we are doing. I'm not fully aware about what's happening in that center. So we need really to create, engagement, the right engagement. Technically, is not only engagement for forum or open discussion. Technically, to talk about the challenge we have in the place, to share the right information, which was, we have experience there. Yeah, there is some confidentiality of our information, but there is also some information can be shared with others, and that's what we need to build on it. So those type of things really will create the right dialogue technically in the place, and I think that's the step I would like to see more.
Jennifer, the point is essentially the attraction of millennials, the millennial generation, if you like, into the sciences, into the energy, oil and gas industry. You are a millennial, probably differentiates from the others without making a judgment on age.
That's very nice of you.
Yes,
Thank you.
well, What is your view on that as a challenge to bring that in, your view on the answer to the question?
Yeah, I mean, I actually voted no as well, even though I would love to go to San Francisco. I think that, you know, when I look at millennials and just the kind of pervasiveness of technology in their lives from the very beginning, everyone's got an iPhone, everyone's got something. They understand the value of technology. It's not something that you have to go to Silicon Valley these days to understand. And I think that there's a very different, even though, as I mentioned earlier, you know, Exxon's trying to build this kind of open workspace, collaborative, Silicon Valley-esque mindset, we're very far from that still. And I think that when you look at Houston right now, it's really the hub for the types of engineers that are going into the petroleum engineering fields, into reservoir engineering. So people are actually, I look at Houston almost as the Silicon Valley for the oil and gas industry, and it's exceptional what we find there in terms of our engineers. And here in Qatar, you know, we just have such an amazing opportunity because of the research centers and the IOCs that have come here and built the research centers, and then the collaboration with the academic community here to do a similar type of approach. And I mean, I look at the young Qataris and the young people here, and it's the same thing. Technology is pervasive in everyone's lives. It's not something that we're scared of anymore.
But just to come to the question,
Yeah.
and again, if anybody would like to make a comment, just put up your hands. There's one in the front row here. This is only to shift part of their operations to Silicon Valley. I'm wondering, Dr. Adnan, you mentioned big data, Internet of Things, Internet of Everything, Cisco, all of it. That QMIC, sorry. The idea that, you know, you've got to be in Silicon Valley, given that the next major disruption and energy change of the industry is all of the data sciences, and that's the epicenter of the world for such things.
Actually, I voted yes. If you are a multinational, if you are an international company, you have to have a presence in Silicon Valley if you want to have really a pulse into what's going on in terms of emerging technologies, disruptive technologies that can really disrupt your business later on, or you can learn from. So there's only one Silicon Valley in the world. So it's very difficult to duplicate or replicate Silicon Valley, but you can learn from it. So I believe you have to be where the talent is, again, from an international company viewpoint, but from biased local viewpoint. No, we'd like to build the local capacity, we'd like to build the organic growth, because that's the one that will be sustainable. But you need to be aware and have the right connections and collaboration to leverage what's going on around the world. But from international company viewpoint, I think being in Silicon Valley and office in Silicon Valley will be quite useful.
Okay, please.
Hi there, it's Simon Goldsmith from BAE Systems. I think the view that I'd be interested in talking about, and I think it was something that was touched on earlier, is there's two things going on in this question. There's getting your business near to where the talent is and challenging your business model. And we've got to be careful as to what's making the innovation a success in Silicon Valley. Is it the business model or is it the people? Having built an innovative team within BAE Systems, which is a $17 billion company, it wasn't moving the company that was important. It was actually challenging the business model. So we changed the business model. We already had the talent and the skills. It was challenging the business model that generated the innovation, not moving to where the talent is. So I'd be interested in the panel's views on that.
I think innovation process is you have to look at it from end to end. You need the people, human capacity. You need the strategies. You need the partnerships. You need to focus on outcomes. You need the financial really backers, whether VCs. We are looking at it from startups viewpoint. You need the frameworks in terms of regulations. So all of these are important. So an innovation for a big company is not necessarily the same as an innovation for a startup company. And that's probably the challenge that I see with established sectors like oil and gas. How can you bring external innovations in a way such that you can experiment and build really sustainable innovations that can be adopted, especially in the local environment. So the concept of adopting innovations, translating them from the research side, the research is the easy part, frankly speaking, because if we don't talk about deployment, we don't talk about commercialization, we all will be happy here because we can collaborate all the time. But when it comes to translating that into deployment, into experimentation, into business models, into exploitation, this is where we are unfortunately very weak in Qatar and the region.
What is your own thoughts on that question and your vote?
I voted no because I think it is about challenging big organizations to make sure the skills that they've already got. Because data science in particular, it isn't just about data science, it's about those who really understand the business and making data science applicable to their business. So it's challenging the business model and building an innovation culture within what is typically quite a risk-averse business. That's my experience.
And let's flip it the other way around, and I would ask this to all of the panel, that what's the harm in shifting a bit? What is there a negative to taking such an action?
So I think the big barrier tends to be that you're challenging, quite often you're challenging the norms within your big enterprise. Now, GE is a great example of this, right? They recognize with the Internet of Things they have to build a software business. That challenged a lot of established divisions within that organization. They had to build a business within a business that was ready to challenge and innovate, and it actually, there was a lot of blockers just because they were such a large business and it challenged so many of their existing business models. You've got to allow the guys to go out and experiment and do things that might challenge very accepted norms, and that's a difficult thing to do.
Okay, let's go to the next question on the survey and see where that goes. So, over the next 20 years, which of the following innovations are likely to have the greatest impact on the oil and gas industry? A, big data and analytics, B, automation and robotics, C, nanotechnology, advancements of existing technologies, and E, crossover technologies from aerospace and medicine. Again, you might say all of the above, but which do you think individually may come out in front? So the greatest impact, which is a particular point, to make a judgment of the greatest impact. So 10 seconds, please, on the vote. Big data, A, B, automation and robotics, C, nanotechnology, D, advancement of existing technologies, and E, crossover technologies. Okay, well, a nice spread across all of the horizons. Dr. Derham, how did you vote on that?
I voted for C, nanotechnology.
Okay.
Well, I think that the challenge is to how to reduce the cost of exploring and transporting, and getting new products out of oil and gas, and with the minimum effect onto the environment. And I think this could be a great opportunity for applications or new advancement of nanotechnology, especially in material sciences. This is the reason that I thought that...
Are you putting that on your own research horizon? Nanotechnology?
Yes, using nanotechnology in different things. One of them, for example, for us is for desalination of water. Okay. However, for oil and gas, I think, not only depends on the current products that it's produced out of oil or gas or petrochemicals, but new products that could come because of advancement in nanotechnology and material sciences. So this would be, I think, a great opportunity for oil and gas companies to increase their income out of new products.
Dr. Youssif?
Actually, I put D, and looking for the improve the technology is our focus. Starting from unlocking subsurface with no easy oil these days, up to end of the product, as Dr. Hassan mentioned. So end of the product is the finding the new application, but actually improve also the technology we use today, or having the product in the market with the right technology is going to help a lot. Also to improve our process in between. Saving costs, one of the big challenge we are facing. So yeah, having the new technology in order to reduce the cost is very, very important for us. Improve the quality of the end product is one of the focus area. So all of that I can see is more talking about how we can find or improve our technology in the place.
Okay, Jennifer, you're...
So I actually put B, but I could argue A as well. But the reason I chose B is because I'm looking in the next 20 years for the oil and gas industry. All the easy oil has been found. So our next kind of horizon is on Arctic and deep water. And when it comes to Arctic and deep water, harsh environments, remote environments. So I think that the concept of robotics and remote sensing and AUVs are going to be essential for everything from monitoring to, decreasing safety risks, less people out there. So any types of automation and robotics. But I also think that ties in with the big data and the analytics piece and the ability to be sitting, hopefully onshore in a safe location and monitoring something that's further offshore. I think about before the sanctions